We're back. I'm Thomas Blackwell, and this is Racism Unchained. As we continue with our program, we have another guest with us today, and his name is Brother Charles Norman. Brother Charles comes from Alabama, and he has a story to tell that you won't believe. We want to share that with you. People talk about civil rights and some of the things that we have been through and gone through, but he had firsthand experience with some of the most notorious characters in our civil rights struggle. George Wallace down in Alabama, Bull Connor, and many others, which we will discuss today. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be fascinated with his testimony today. So it gives me pleasure to introduce to you Charles Norman.
Good evening.
Brother Charles, tell us about yourself and how this situation about racism has affected your life. And first of all, tell us where you're from and how you got started.
Well, Reverend Black, I was born in a little city called Fairfield, Alabama. It's about 11 miles out of downtown Birmingham. But we also had a college right there in Fairfield where a lot of us went, Miles College. But what I like to share is that I came up in the period of time with the two meanest white men that ever walked the face of the earth that's publicly known about. And that was Governor George Wallace, and of course the main figure was Eugene Bull Connor.
Okay.
They had a reputation, and they the one that sicked the hose pipe on the school kids and sick bulldogs on them.
Oh my goodness.
And I had first-hand knowledge about what was going on because I took black history in high school. In the 9th grade, I took black history and could see how the pattern had been going. But had, I guess I'll say, the opportunity to meet both George Wallace and Eugene Bull Connor face to face. And the incident with Eugene Bull Connor was that one evening when we were going to get our tuxedos out and our clothes for the prom out, three gentlemen with nice skis came up from good families and Manama took care of our own business. But I had a brother that had gone into the service and gave me a car, so I had a car. We rolled down and got our clothes for the prom, and was on Gary Avenue there in Fairfield, and all of a sudden, lights was coming from everywhere. Man with a truck had called and told the Eugene Bull Connor office that three blacks was trying to run him off the road. And before we knew it, we were surrounded. Over 300 white people was out there. And I mean, we hadn't gone 2 blocks from the cleaners.
Is that right?
Yeah, it didn't have 7 blocks to go to get back home.
Wow.
But they surrounded and was talking and grumbling and finally he asked me my name. He asked all 3 of us our name, but he got to me, and I said, Charles Norman. And he said, Frank Norman, your daddy? I said, yeah, that's my daddy. My dad had come to find out, my dad had several encounters with white folks down there. One was a white man that came from the sheep mill. That was the big workplace there. And we had all the vacant land plowed up down there. So my brother had been working in the field, and he was coming home that evening. One of the white men took his lunch bucket and hit my brother upside the head with it.
Is that right?
And my brother came home and told my dad. They ran back down there, and every white man out there was pointing out who did it. Because they knew my daddy. My daddy had a reputation.
Oh, boy, yeah.
So on that day, Eugene Bull Connor said, I'm gonna call your dad and tell him you acting a fool down here. And he did call my dad. And my dad said he knew that he better been careful how he was dealing with me.
Oh boy!
So I said, "Wow, what kind of situation is this?" Anyway, then he let us go and told me to go straight home because he didn't call my dad. I went home and sure enough, he had called my daddy and told him that we was trying to run a man off the street and the people had gathered to do us some harm, but he didn't let nothing happen to us. Then nothing happened to us that day. And now the situation with Governor Wallace is that he became governor after I had got ran out of Birmingham, and I'm going to tell you about that situation later on when I was working at a university hospital over there.
Okay.
But when he was first running for governor, and I would go home every summer, and my sister had me working the streets, knocking on doors to vote for people to vote for Governor Wallace.
Oh, okay.
Because initially he came from a good upbringing. He's supposed to be pretty fair-minded.
Okay.
But they had got a hold to him later on, and I read the story myself and told him that if he didn't act stronger toward blacks and arrest more blacks and treat them like they supposed to be treated down there, that he would have a second term. And that changed him.
Oh yeah.
So a few years later, after he termed out for the second election, my sister was still, they say he was the lesser of the two evils. Him,
yeah, right.
Whoever the other guy was.
Yeah. And
she wanted me to campaign with him for, but I wouldn't do it. After he had turned and kind of got mean and had built a reputation on how he was mistreating people of color, then I refused to campaign for him. But she told me that he was the best out of the two of them.
Yeah.
And the other guy, but I know he had did some real mean things as they had forced him to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And he had to treat people wrong.
Yeah.
But so I refused to help her.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of my classmates, a couple of my classmates walked with her and did some campaigning with her, but I wouldn't do it because I knew that he had a better heart that he was portraying just to continue to be governor.
Yeah. Now he said that there would be no integration in his school systems, and he stood in the
doorway.
Doorway.
Yeah, he the one who blocked the doorway there, and Kennedy pushed him aside.
Right.
But they still, the black folks in Birmingham didn't have much hope. He was the better of the
right.
You follow what I said to them? He wasn't the better for me. I'm in California now, so I didn't have to support him in no kind of way. But that's the way it went on. And then as he termed out, then they elected his wife as governor.
Okay. Okay.
So he held on to the power down there for a long time. But now sicking bulldogs and turning hose pipes on kids.
Right. No mercy.
That's no mercy. But and I don't get no further than that because I raised bulldogs from the time I was 7 years old all the way through high school for a doctor called Dr. Drake. He raised dogs for fighting, and so I knew how to handle bulldogs.
Oh wow!
I could stretch their jaw to it pop, and I used to handle a lot of dogs for fighting. But so I wasn't afraid of the dogs, and there was a lot of dogs that came up injured.
Right.
But the thing about it is that working at University Hospital, there was a white man they brought in one night that the police had beat up. The white police had beat up real bad. Okay. And he was drunk and raising hell in there, and raising hell. And one of the nurses told me, said, Charles, he's getting himself a loose. And so I went back and I was tying him down, and he had a knife in his other hand, was cutting me in the back.
Oh wow!
And blood the nurse said, Charles, he cutting you. You bleeding. I did that blood everywhere, and I hit him.
Wow.
I hit him and knocked him out. Now, they had beat him up.
Yeah.
The white police had.
Right.
But when one of the white nurses told the police that I hit him, boy, they started gathering to get me.
Oh, my goodness.
And I said I wasn't running. I carried a switchblade knife at the time. That's all. I'm going to go down fight. And a nurse, one of the nurses, I won't call her name. She passed away now, but I went back to thank her 4 years later after I left there. But she grabbed me by my wrist. Big lady. Pulled me up the second floor stairway and got me out back. Now, I had a car park up out there in the parking lot because my brother left me the car when he went in the army. But she asked me, my mama was working up in pediatric, and I had an auntie work upstairs on the 5th floor in pediatric. I couldn't even say goodbye to her.
Right.
I had to get out of there.
Wow.
I had money in my pocket, and she gave me a couple of $100, and I got on the bus and
because you hit a white man in that period.
Oh yeah, they was gathered. And the word was that they gonna kill you.
Right.
That white nurse told the black nurse,
right?
Yeah, they were gonna kill him. But I was gonna try to take somebody with me. But I thanked that lady because I wasn't running. But I'm so glad she overwhelmed me and got me to in the car, got me to the bus station. And I knew where my brother was in California. Came to Los Angeles. I thought they was going to catch that bus all the way to the south, even to Texas.
Oh, wow.
And the only time I got a little relief was when I got up in Arizona.
Wow.
I said, it look like I'm going to make it.
Wow.
But I thought everywhere. It took 2 days on a bus trip.
Right.
I left there on October the 3rd, 1958, and I got here on the 5th. And the 5th was my mama's birthday. So I love the 5th of October for many things. And I swore I wasn't going back. I had a hatred for my hometown that I love.
Exactly.
But I grew out of that because my mom and dad told me, said, Charles, now you got to. I wasn't going back.
Yeah.
And you got to come. Your parents getting older, and you just got to come and see about it. I thought about it. So in 1960, I went back, and I ain't had no trouble because I stayed in my area. I wasn't looking for no trouble. And I had no trouble, but it's a many black men that was getting beat up and hung and killed every weekend when I started reading. After I had an incident with them, I started keeping up with everything. And it was bad. But I want to tell you this incident about the insurance man came to the house on a Saturday morning to collect insurance. It wasn't about $2.88 or something like that, but. He came about 9 o'clock in the morning one Saturday morning, and my mama told him, say, Frank haven't made it here yet. He came back about 11. She said the same thing. He haven't made it here yet. Came back about 1, and she said, Frank ain't made it, and the man cussed. And my mama started crying. And by that time, my daddy walked in the back door. So he asked my sister, said, what's wrong with Vera, what's wrong with your mama? She said, Mr. Applewhite cussed her. And my dad beat him, threw him off the porch, jumped in the yard and beat him some more.
I hear you.
And so the white police they came around our door for 2 days and 2 nights. But my dad and his brother was named Will Norman. They set up all night long, 2 days and 2 nights. They had the shotguns and pistols. And about the third day, they stopped because I was big enough to peep and go into the house and see was anybody trying to slip up right at me and my brother Tank. But they knew Frank Norman wasn't playing.
They knew how to pick on certain people, and
then after about 2 or 3 days, they stopped coming around. So just letting you know that what you have to do in life is to pray and stand your ground.
Right.
You can't try to run and hide. I was just wondering why Emmett Till, that's down in Mississippi,
Right.
you remember that?
Right.
Now his grandfather knew that they say he had whistled at this girl.
Right.
And they knew they was coming that night. But that never would have happened.
Yeah.
In Alabama.
Yeah.
Never would have happened.
Wow. Yeah. That's the situation that we're facing, Charles. We're still in a situation where they really would love to hang and lynch.
Oh yeah.
Any of us at any given time, and they don't have to use the rope now. They can use the bullet and the guns that they use, and give them to police that have already been set up in organizations that are run and pretty much maintained by the Klan.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do you think about our situation today as far as the unmedicated, predicated shootings of blacks and people of color, and how the system is dealing with us today? From back in the 60s, the 50s and 60s, where are we today?
Well, I tell you, the hands on the clock has turned back. And all of that is basically from our political leadership.
Okay.
The current president talked so early on about how wrong and mean and how many dirty acts that blacks and browns was causing and bringing in our community. And he even spoke, when the police arrest you, they'll bend your head down and let you get in.
Right.
Don't be that easy. That kind of talk. And it kind of turned the time back some. But we still have a living God that if you put your prayers and faith in Him, He's going to turn all of this around.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just got to stand up and know that God got all power.
Yeah.
But you can't run in no hiding place and duck, and you can't be wrong. You can't be out there drunk, acting no fool yourself. You can't be robbing and stealing and breaking in places. But just came from a meeting, a Black History meeting, and as a police officer was there talking about, he hate to tell folks what department he worked with, because they'll think that he's a part of some of the wrongdoing that's going on. But they see things. We got people that's working in places that standing their ground and not going along with all the wrongdoing.
True.
And it don't have to be black, because see, in Fairfield we had 2 white policemen that worked in our community.
Yeah.
One was big and one was little. The little one was Dean. Now he was kind of mean, but he was all right with us.
Yeah.
And the big one was Gonzi, and he really was fair-minded.
Okay.
So they would tell you things not to do and places not to go, and they would tell you when they were gonna ride up on the hill.
Right. Yeah.
Because see now, like they burnt my high school down in 1969. Burned it down to the ground because the next week, that next Monday, they're supposed to integrate it. The white kids supposed to came up to our school,
Is that right?
and some of our kids that live down that way supposed to went to the white school.
Right.
They burned it to the ground. Now I was in California, had been here for a long time since, but I couldn't understand why they didn't look out.
Right.
Because see, it was about 20 of us from the class ahead of me, my class, and the class behind me. We had learned how to look out.
Right.
For Fairfield. That was a middle class black neighborhood.
Right.
All the daddies worked in the steel plant and all. They made decent money and had their own home. Like the home, I was born in the home that my dad had bought then. And not only me, but my sister is 2 years older than me was born there. So the men in that community would protect that community. And that's what I had learned from,
Yeah.
And so we you just live that way. You learn to protect, but they know that Friday evening before the money the school was supposed to integrate.
They had plans.
They was gonna burn it down, and they did. Wow. And they just sit up there and let it happen.
Wow.
I mean, they melted the iron in the building. They had some stuff so hot. I went in there looking when I went. I go down there every summer at the time. Yeah. All the iron was melted. They came down. They could have trapped them.
That's true too.
They could have stopped them.
Right.
But God knows best. There might have been a lot of killing. And
right.
God just have to be the head of your life.
Yeah. Now, Charles, let's examine our situation today with our youth. Where do we go from here, and how do we communicate to our young people today that racism still exists? Now, we have a lot of, especially our African American youth, especially our young male, they have no fear. But then there's going to come a time where you're going to have to use some wisdom and some knowledge and love of God to overcome this situation. Because what the administration in this society is trying to do is trying to get us to commit to violence and anger so they will have a
right to drop the bombs.
Exactly.
And they got some powerful stuff. They can wipe out a whole block.
Yeah, exactly.
With 2 shots.
Yeah.
So you don't have a chance. What we have to do with our kids, I'm the father of 5 boys and 1 girl, and I raised 5 boys and 2 girls.
Okay.
And you just have to be on top of them, teaching them and guiding them, teaching them what the situations is in the world.
Right.
And you can't win if you lose your head.
Right.
You don't have to take everything.
Yeah.
But you can't be out there full of drugs and crazy minded and think you're gonna survive.
That's it.
We still have to put everything in the Lord's hand, you follow. I'll tell you an incident. I went to Cal State and the semester when we graduated, they sent 9 of us at one job out of TRW. And it was data processing and all of that. I switched to business administration my senior year. And we went out there. They interviewed the 3 white guys first. Then I was the 4th one because I was dressed up and carried myself, I guess, a certain way. And so I got the job at TRW. So about 3 months later, I asked the head man, I said, how did you choose me for the job? He said, in your interview, you told him that you had a daughter and a son on the way and you had to have this job. He said, that's what I told him, and that's what I told him. See, so you got to carry yourself a certain way.
Yeah. Right.
You're going to have to ask some questions as you go along, but you got to present yourself.
He knew you wasn't coming in with no mess. He knew you wanted a job.
I told him I had to have a job. I said, I got a daughter and a son. I said, I got 1 baby and 1 on the way.
Yeah.
And our kids, Reverend Black, and our grandkids.
Yeah.
We men, particularly, got to pull them in.
Yeah.
That's got to be a priority of ours to share with them, to spend some time talking to them, to make sure they understand how this life is and understand what's going to happen if they don't straighten up and live right, fly right. They got to straighten up and fly right.
Yeah.
And I've been spending a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
Now, so far, God has blessed me that none of my kids had any affair with law enforcement.
Right.
And one of my sons, he some of his college classmates, they look like they wasn't gonna like no policeman no way.
Yeah.
I said, if you don't like what's happening with the police department, get inside.
Become
get in
a part
that
of it.
and change it from the inside.
Right.
And that's the one that's a policeman.
That's the only way we can deal with it, is to work from the inside. And so many wants to separate and divide, but you can't win the war in that manner.
You got to be able to get inside so you could talk to the people and walk with the people, and that's what the changes will be.
You know, Charles, I learned a long time ago. Now, white people have a different understanding of black people than we do. They don't know us. They have presumed that we're violent, we're womanizers, that we're lazy, shiftless, and that's their perspective. And they see us as threats to their society. But I find out that once you get to know that person and that person gets to know you, their perspective change.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, I've had situations where in service I was with Marines that came out of Mississippi, came out of Arkansas and Alabama, and they had never lived or talked with black people. But then through the training that we had in Marine Corps, they didn't care what color you were. You were a scumbag regardless of who you were. And they treated everybody just the same. And those guys began to realize that we were all on the same scale, you know. We were all at the low end of the totem pole as far as Marines go. And so once they realized that, I even had a young recruit say, Blackwell, you know, if my folks would allow me, I'd take you home with me. Mm-hmm. That's how he has changed his he said, but that's not permitted in our society, you know. They talk very frank. And so in today's society, how do we get to that person, that skinhead, that Klansman, that rebel down in the South that has taught his kids to hate black folks? How do we change that perspective in our race relations?
Well, I'll tell you, my parents came out here, and I had some white folks in other departments that had their own boats and things, and they invited me to bring my parents down there. They're gonna give them boat rides, and they're gonna do everything down in Long Beach, and we worked together in that data processing because we had to have reports for Model Division next day, and we got them. So even if you had to stay there all night long, you got to have a report. You can't have 48 analysts sitting up doing nothing. Yeah. But one guy that graduated from USC, his parents was rich, and he liked me a lot. He couldn't catch a hold to the work so easy, so I took some time with him. And then now one thing he was good with, that we did a whole new catalog, a parts catalog for TRW. Yeah. And once he learned what they want and what they want, boy, he worked so hard, worked late, and he was really good in that. But academically, he wasn't that bright, I guess. But he appreciated me for it. He'd come to my house from way out in Beverly Hills where he lived. And I lived on 99th and Normandy. Yeah, yeah. So what you'd have to do, you have to first of all have a pure in heart yourself. Right. See, you can't talk one way and walk another. Okay. See, when you get out of the site, you talking about you act like them. Right, right. But I haven't had much trouble out of dealing with white folks in Los Angeles. Right. You know, we had business. You know, we had the service station, a thrift store. Me and my brother now, and it just some of the folks that was administrators and white and in high position would explain to you how you can do things once they get to know you. You know. Yeah. But you got to open up to people.
Right.
See, that's the whole thing. I when I first was looking at what Eugene Bull Connor and what the governor was doing, I was beginning to hate white folks and what had happened to so many people.
Now, Wallace had a change of heart after he got shot. I hear about his, relationship with black people.
Well, he had a change of heart before.
Okay.
See, they put pressure on him that he wasn't going to get a second term if he couldn't change. See, he was raised right. Wallace was raised right.
Okay.
From the beginning.
Okay.
His family must have raised them right,
See, because a lot of people don't know that, see.
I knew that. See, he changed, and I knew about the meetings they had. See, you have to read and pay attention to it a lot, too.
Yeah.
See, they called him in and threatened him that he definitely wouldn't win a second term if he couldn't be a little rough on blacks.
Oh my goodness!
See, and he did. He started doing some things then. See.
Wow.
But that's where he was really raised. He was raised good.
Yeah.
So,
and that's another thing. A lot of them have in their heart to do right, but the system in our society puts so much pressure on them that they have to.
Oh yeah, that's what they did too.
Stand their ground. Yeah.
They look. If he wasn't changed the way he was talking and treating black folks, he wasn't going to have a second term. And everybody that's in our age group knew that.
Oh.
See.
Okay.
But when he changed, I changed. I wasn't going to go out there and campaign for him. and my sister tried to explain to me that he was the best, the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm going back to California next week anyway, but I ain't going to do nothing for him. Yeah. Because I didn't think he should have changed like that. But maybe to be a governor for as long as he did. And then I told you about his wife won that governorship too.
Right. Okay, well, Charles, listen, I want to close this out, but I want you to give your perspective on where we're going from this point and how do we deal with the situation. I want you to just talk to this, speak to this, and let them know what your perspective on and how you see the future for racism in our country.
Reverend Black, the thing that troubles me most now about our opportunity to save our kids and grandkids and communities and churches and keep them from safe and is the men, first of all, got to stand up. It's our responsibility to protect our women, our children, our grandchildren, and our seniors.
Right.
Now, I know I'm a senior now, and I thank God because...
it's had some moments you didn't think.
I thank God because He just done blessed me. But first of all, what I do, I put the Lord first in everything. Now, it'll take me sometime almost a minute and a half before I'll answer a question or say something that... back.
Good.
And I want to give him a chance to regulate me. I know that we got the Holy Spirit to guide us.
Yeah.
And I want to give him the opportunity. You know how I shared with you how I conducted myself when my wife died in 2014. A good woman, and she suffered with that cancer. Now, why? And you look around and see everybody else doing a lot of everything. But God's business is not our business.
There you go.
He knew that she was in enough pain.
Right.
It didn't take me long, about an hour, I guess, after I went through I wasn't coming to church no more. I wasn't serving no more.
Right.
And within an hour, all that changed. He made it clear to me.
Wow.
Because, see, if you got enough God in you, you'll hear it. You'll hear it.
Yep.
Now, men got to control our communities.
Right.
We got to do it. You can't say, that ain't my child. No.
Yeah, right.
That's how I started with people who care. I didn't have do nothing. I got a good job at TRW. I'm making good money.
Right.
And
but
on my way, you know.
Yep. But it's on your heart. You had to do something.
But look, God wants you to. Every boy was just like my own son, and every girl just like my own daughter.
Right.
That's the way I did it. And my daughter got a program like that right now with the Department of Water and Power. I won't call her name, but
yeah.
And it's to help youngsters who got off the right track early.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them was did some time,
mm-hmm.
but she got a program that gave them opportunity.
Well,
and not only do that program give them good pay because it's union jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I just came from. That's what she was explaining to the community. And a lot of them know it because she helped a lot of them. And some of them people that was in there facilitating.
Well, you think you want to share that name?
Want to get in there. Her name's Sean.
I mean, the organization and what she's doing, you can use your platform.
Well, I think I left most of that stuff in there. That was Delta. And they had her there. Program, and she telling you how you have to work. You have to work with the people.
Right.
Some rules for youngsters who had made a mistake in life.
Yeah. And
need a second chance. But see, they got a good chance.
Right.
It's a union job, and the pay is good. What's the minimum wage? $40 an hour.
Is that?
They getting a job where you.
Oh my goodness.
You can get up, but then some people got around there and start after they done got hired in the position.
Yeah.
Come back and say, well, they was incarcerated. They was arrested once. Well, they know that. That's one of the qualifications.
Right.
If you change your life, turn your life around, and go through the pre-training.
Yeah.
And I just sit there and listen.
Oh my goodness.
Because and she fight for and it's great. Now one of the national senators gave her award for it downtown last year. I went to that.
Okay. Wow.
That's when I found out about it.
Wow, that's
they
fantastic.
About how you reach back. How you reach back now.
Help somebody else.
And help somebody.
That's good.
That's and if we lead that. If we lead that as men, first of all, we just have to. If we got 10 more men like us,
right,
and said wherever there is a problem going on, or youngsters that parents can't reach, because most of these parents are headed by women,
right?
Most of these families is headed by the women, and they can't do that with them boys once them boys get 13, 14.
Right.
Can't do nothing with them.
Right. And
but
yeah, they got so much outside peer pressure that's coming their way, and it's all negative. Yeah.
And you know yourself, because we have worked together on closing down some drug houses in Inglewood.
Exactly.
But we had to have somebody in Inglewood, who wanted that to happen.
Right.
So you had Reverend Butler and the pastor. Our church was right there.
Yeah.
You just can't go into a place.
Right.
And nobody wants you there because everybody's against you.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna get Pastor in here, and we're gonna get together and discuss some of the things that we have done to combat violence and gang, takeovers in our city.
I tell you, we could save our kids if we get busy. If the parents know that they got some
support,
some men that they can bring them to that got time to talk with us and dedicated to it.
Yeah,
with the last breath. But what I say now is that I don't want to lead no organization.
Right.
But I still want to help somebody.
Right. Be an influence and encouragement.
But that's what we got to do, because it's getting tough again.
Yeah. I understand that, and that's why we every Sunday evening at 9 o'clock, we have a program called Racism Unchained.
Well, I got you. I'm paying my money now.
Okay.
for your station to get. I had it one time, and I don't know what happened to it, but I got it back last week.
Right. Well,
so 9 o'clock on Sunday.
Sunday evening, and we deal with the racism, all issues. Colin Kaepernick just.
I know they
came across a settlement with the NFL.
Him and the guy that with
right. And so things like this, we truly want to follow up on because he took a stand for what he thought was the right thing to do.
He did it,
and so many have come against him. The NFL's come against him. President come against him.
Oh, yeah.
But he did the thing that was in his heart. It didn't matter about the money or the football contracts. He did what he thought was right, God is going to bless him.
He took a beating.
Yeah,
he was picked up on some things, but he gonna catch all the way up. Now you never will know the details of this one.
Exactly.
This is one that they won't share. But I didn't know about the second guy, that his friend that was right with him.
Right.
And he's with South Carolina now. Last year they gave him 1 year contract. Now they gave him a 3-year contract.
Yeah, that's beautiful. But all right, okay. Charles, I appreciate you taking your time to come by today and share with us, and we just want to expose racism to the fullest. People, we're not trying to tell you which way to think or what to think. All we want to do is present the facts to you, and you decide for yourself. From the history that we have, Charles and I have gone through, and the others that have been on the program today, Sister Letha Davis shared her experience about that Edmund Pettus Bridge. We know that anybody that survived it, if you've not seen we got some clips we're going to show you tonight. If you haven't had an experience like that, the old saying says, keep living. But racism at its fullest is not dead. It's rising its ugly head, and unless we step up now, take a stand, it's going to consume us again.
Yeah, especially when your leader of the United States
endorses
is pushing it.
Yeah, you got that right.
And anybody can see that.
Yeah. So we just want to open up the eyes of America just to see that we still have a struggle.
You hang in there, keep fighting, and know that you got a few soldiers, and I can make a few phone calls.
Amen.
It ain't no situation out there that's too tough for us. I was at I just need to share this with you. I was up on Central at that time. They had a Ford dealership.
Okay.
About 154th and Central, not too far from Crenshaw High School.
Okay.
And all the boys were chasing the boy. I don't know whether you ever heard about that or not. They were chasing him, and I saw him running at him. And it was another brother in there, a black man, sitting in there to get his car repaired. And I saw him catch him. They caught it right by the window of the auto place where I was sitting. I said, we can't sit here and let them kill him. I said, you come out here, I just need you to stand up behind my back, and I'm going to get him off of him and get him in this building. And he said, okay. I got out there, and I looked up, and he was running across the parking lot. This man was running, and all these kids, now I'm beginning to pull them off. If he would have stood there behind and blocked, the kids was respectful enough that they would have stood back.
Right, exactly.
But another man came up the side. He said, I got your back. And so then I started pulling him, and one boy down there with a knife trying to jug his eyes out, and I stepped on the wrist, got the knife, throwed it up on the building, and got that boy up and got him in the building. And his mama, they took him home. His mama came back up there to thank me.
Oh, wow.
We didn't make a lot of noise about it, but I had Luther and I called them. They finally got up there, all my little staff, and then the guys, all of them scattered. But I couldn't sit there and witness them stomping that boy to death. And
they would have.
Oh, yeah, they were going to do it. But this one down there trying to jug his eyes out with a knife, flat on down. I stepped on his wrist and caught it and got the knife. I threw it up on the building.
Oh, wow.
But
I hear you.
We as men got to stand up
All right.
And for our own families and for other families.
Exactly.
Save these kids.
All right.
And thank you. And anytime I can do anything, let me know.
All right. I thank you, Brother Charles, for coming by today, and we're definitely going to get this aired, and this program also airs on YouTube around the world so that people can see this is not just a local problem, it's a national and international problem.
National problem. Man, youngsters in my hometown of Birmingham went crazy a little like.
Yeah.
Letting them, they shooting around there like
it's happening. It's happening, and the thing about it that we're putting fuel on the fire when we don't have gun restrictions on certain things, and so many different type of weapons that are out there now that are strictly main and to hurt people and to destroy people of color.
All right. I'm glad I made it.
Thank you, Brother Charles.
Hang in there.
God bless.
God bless.
And that's the way it is, folks. We are thankful for Brother Charles Norman for coming by today and sharing with us. And we will be back with more on this situation in the weeks to come. May God bless you and may God keep you is my prayer. Oh, Lord, we need you now. I'm Thomas Blackwell. This has been a presentation of KTYM Media.com. We're trying to get the gospel out. And the gospel is good news in bad times. But the gospel is also truth. And we want to share that with people of color around the world. Not just people of color either. It's anybody that wants to live a moral and dignified life by observing the truth in the Word of God. We've got more coming up for you. We have a situation, not a situation, but a program that's dealing with some great inventors and great men that have made contributions to our society. And the next person that you're going to see is none other than George Washington Carver. Many don't know of the things that he invented, but when you can take a peanut and revolutionize the world, that's Black history. And we're going to share that with you coming up, and then immediately after that, Frederick Douglass. So if you have the time this evening, just sit back and relax and enjoy some of the beautiful things that we have done as people of color to make our world a better place to live.
Yes, we do.